Well, Cheryl Downes, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us and happy Pride Month.
Oh my God, how exciting is it to have Pride Month all month? Very
Absolutely.
happy.
Let's get straight into it, Cheryl. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how your experiences as a lesbian leader have shaped your view on inclusion.
Yeah, it's really interesting because partly you think of yourselves as a leader rather than defining that sort of subset of life. But I do recognise that I am in front of the Pride Network and I am a lesbian leader. I think for me, it's about making sure that we can be seen. That's the number one thing. And the more people that we see at different levels of the organisation, I think are really important. For me personally, so my journey probably started 20 to 30 years ago in not only lesbian space, but also in a leadership space. Mm-hmm. So the two are quite connected for me. And I've always felt the power of being in front by just being who you are rather than people being able to take that power away from you of who you are. That's so important to me.
And Cheryl, what does meaningful support for LGBTQIA plus people in the workplace, what does that look like for you?
That's a lot of different things. We had a conversation yesterday where we talked about self-editing, and just to talk about self-editing, it's not an exclusive thing to the LGBTIQA plus community, but it's where you maybe feel potentially threatened or unable to be your whole self or true self in any environment, maybe a work environment or not. So for me, a great environment would enable you to be your whole self and not have to self-edit. So you could come in and if someone says, how was your weekend? You can openly say, my wife and I did this, or our rainbow family did that, versus in the early days probably of my career, and it was difficult to say things like that. You might say, a friend and I went out, or I went out, but you wouldn't bring your whole self and have that whole conversation about what you did. And that's just, it's debilitating. It's really hard that people can't just be open because you use energy to have those conversations and to edit yourself along the way as well. And then people never truly know who you are either. So you feel inauthentic in your experiences.
And do you feel authentic now here at ANZ?
Absolutely. I definitely feel here in ANZ, it's interesting. One of the concepts of coming out, and you think about young people and they might come out to their family or to their friends or to their colleagues, but effectively we come out every day because I've never met that person before. Do you have to come out to that new person? You might feel it's inappropriate if it's completely work-based, but sometimes you do, they might ask you some personal questions. You're like, do I out myself to this person, yes or no? And again, that self-editing comes in. It's like, I'm not sure about this person, how they might react. Do I want to deal with how they feel? How is that going to make me feel? There are people, certainly in older generations, who have internalized homophobia as well. So the more that you can be authentic and really embrace who you are, I think the more successful that you will be. And the environment encourages that at ANZ, is my feeling.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's such a great answer. Cheryl, how do your personal experience influence the way you advocate for others in the Pride community?
Knowing how hard it was to come out to family, to friends, losing friends and family kind of along the way, having a gay son as well, I feel like if we're not contributing to it, it makes it hard for anyone else stepping forward as well. And I don't want to be so bold as to say that I can change the world, but you want to be part of the change and try and contribute as much as possible. We talked about swimming upstream and how moving the needle, you might see the needle moving to a better zone. And that's great. But without exerting an amount of pressure daily or whatever frequency it is, the needle is not guaranteed to stay there. So you need to be conscious around what are the impacts on a daily basis and what can I do to encourage that. For me personally, I don't want anyone's experience to be hard. And I recognise that some people have had much harder experiences than me as well. So I want to be there and present for them. I want people to be able to reach out. We talked about it on a session that we had yesterday as well. Just, we are here for you. There are a lot of Pride leaders and the Pride community who can support other people who might not be in that position where they feel completely supported right now. In particular, the trans community are having an extremely difficult time. And it's not okay for me to say, oh, well, I'm okay. We need to be there for each other because someone was there before for me. Now I need to be there for someone after as well.
Great. And Cheryl, finally, what advice would you give to leaders who want to better support LGBTQIA plus employees and their families?
It's a really good question. I think educate yourself. Don't rely, again, we talked about this, don't rely on the person who's part of that community to educate you. That's not their role. They have a hard enough time with their day-to-day presence in just being they carry. We talked about cultural load, that education role, and we love it because this is who we are and we're happy to share that knowledge. But bring yourself to the table as well and learn a little bit. Be open to people's different circumstances. Don't make assumptions about people's lives. And I talked a little bit about how, we have a son, he's 22 years old, and people kind of look at you and it's like, but you're a lesbian, how do you have a 22-year-old son? And it's like, do I need to explain that for them? And again, it becomes difficult, but that's my whole self. That's who we are. So you want to bring all of that to the table. So be mindful of the questions that you ask, be open, listen, ask them what they need. I think that's a really powerful thing, to ask them what they need, because every person is different. So my experience in the Pride community is different to someone else's. So if you help someone in the same way that you've helped me, that might not work.
Well, Cheryl Downes, thank you so much for joining us. Such an insightful chat as we celebrate Pride Month here at ANZ.
Thanks so much, Alicia. It's great to be here.